to welcome all Africans who participating into this debate and our chief guest. Every one of you are highly welcome to India number one private university, Lovely Professional University. Pastor Chief, you are mostly welcome to India number one platform, Lovely Professional University, to share with us about Black discrimination, wherein we humbly have you invited as one of our panel guest speaker for today. So today is the third session of the debate on Black discrimination. We are happy to host you on this platform so you can share with us about your portfolio and your current status of what you are doing. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Welcome for granting me this opportunity to appear on your platform. I'm Pastor David S. Yadeh Chea. I'm pastor at the Harvest Intercontinental Church, Bourgeois Island in Monrovia, Liberia. Our church, until this year, just recently, our name was Bethel World Outreach Ministries, Bourgeois Island Church. So, for those of you who may not be used to Harvest, the same church that was called Bethel is the one now called Harvest Intercontinental Church, Bourgeois Island. Like I said, I'm pastor here. Uh, Also, I'm an educationist. I hold a master of education administration. I also have background in science with a bachelor of science degree in chemistry and biology. I have also attended several workshop education workshop at Harvard Institute of Higher Education and school health, nutrition, and assessment at the University of Ghana, among several institutions. So briefly, that my profile, and I'm happy to be here to contribute to this discourse. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pastor Reverend. This platform is where in we, as an African, we share our view on how we feel about Black discrimination in a global analysis, not only on Africa, but on the doctrine of the global analysis, how researchers are analyzed about Black discrimination in the world, in America, in Europe, in Australia, in Asia, any part of the world, even in Africa. So thank you very much for joining us, and we will get back
You're
to you.
welcome.
So, Reverend, you can mute your mic and we'll get back to you.
Mr. Lofen, how you doing? Good morning, and yeah,
Hello, Reverend. Reverend Chea, you have to off your microphone. Okay, now your microphone is off. Okay. General guys, we can commence the debate now. Welcome to Lovely Professional University, the Indian #1 private university. Today is the third session of our African Black Debate Festival, hosted by student organization Democrat, honored the umbrella of Lovely Professional University. Today we have along with us some vigilant young scholars of Africa, along with our traditional fathers who will be telling us about Black discrimination of global analysis. So now we will be speaking to one of our father, Reverend Chea. Reverend Chea, are you there? Reverend, are you there? Reverend, you have to put on the microphone. Reverend, put the microphone on. We are not getting you. Okay, now the microphone is on. You off the microphone again. Reverend, can you put the microphone on? Mr. Kpoo, can you put your microphone off?
I'm trying to do that. I'm using headphone. Let me see. Oh, am I off?
No, you are still on. Reverend, you can put your microphone on.
Am I off?
You are still on.
Am I off?
You are still on, Mr. Kpoo. The microphone, you have to push the microphone off on the phone, not on the earpiece. Reverend, we are waiting for you. Reverend, can you put your microphone on?
This is not Reverend, this is Spare.
Okay, Dr. Kerkula, you are welcome to Indian #1 private university platform, Lovely Professional University. While we just waiting for Reverend Chea to put on his microphone, we'll give you this platform so that you can commence the debate. Today is the third session of the Black Festival debate hosted by Lovely Professional University Student Organization Democrats.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, clear. And let's put your microphone off.
Okay, before we start, let us to just observe a few seconds of silence in remembrance of the human rights advocate Martin Luther King Jr. Today is his day in the U.S., and we are all over the world who are advocates of social justice should be celebrating his.
Try and off your microphone, please.
Me?
Not you, Doctor, not you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let me start by quoting the co-founder of the Black Lives Matter statement that she made sometime back, and that is Alicia Cassette. She said, "The fight is not just being able to keep breathing. The fight is actually to be able to walk down the street with your head high and feel like I belong here, or I deserve to be loved and to be here." This debate is surely about the question of fighting for respect and fighting for the dignity of the Black people. And the fact that all over the world, Black people have suffered and continue to suffer from discrimination, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in the school, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in religion. Black people have suffered and continue to suffer humiliation. And the discrimination takes many forms. Though it happens at the individual level, but what is more troubling is what we call institutional discrimination. Discrimination today mostly comes in the forms of the law make, and it could be even in, for example, I'll take the case of America. You have the affirmative action, where minorities that are being discriminated over the time, either through laws that are made in terms of maybe admission processes or services that people get in the mortgage area, or just services that they get. The way those laws and decisions are made sometimes they affect black people. If you go to America, I lived in America for 14 years. You see discrimination in residential segregation, even in the school system. I live in Brooklyn Park. If you see the school system in Brooklyn Park, in terms of resource, those schools are really under resource. If compared to other schools that are heavily white, you see that those schools are well resourced. What that does, it creates what we call achievement gap, where you see where minorities, especially the blacks, they go to school where the schools are under resource.
I think Dr. Fode is finding some internet problem. So we will awaiting a minute. Let's see. Dr. Fode was just giving us some historicity analysis about black discrimination in the US, wherein he said he lived in the US for 15 years. So, as an experienced person, he was trying to dive into black discrimination, but the internet could not allow him. So now we return to Reverend Shea. Okay, Dr. Fode. Dr. Fode, are you there?
I'm here, but I just got lost, right?
Okay, you are back. You are back.
Okay, I think it's a network. So as I was saying, we need to persistently advocate, because that's the only way that discrimination against blacks in the world can stop. We can't keep quiet. We must keep fighting. Like the late Martin Luther King said, there's always the right time to do the right thing. So one of the efforts I think that manifests this is what we have now, this debate, because through this debate, people will get to know that the situation of discrimination is real and it needs to stop. But our focus got to be on institutionalized discrimination. Can you hear me?
I'm getting you. I'm getting you. We are listening to you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So for now, I want to stop here and just challenge each of us to continue the discussion as we move to the debate. Will come in later on.
Okay, let's hear from Reverend Shea. Reverend Shea, are you there? Reverend Shea, are you there? Okay. All right. Let's hear from Beatrice. Beatrice, you are welcome to Lovely Professional University platform, the Indian #1 private university platform. This Black Discrimination Festival is being hosted by student organization Democrats. So we want to hear from you as per your own understanding on the global analysis, how you see Black people being discriminated. Reverend Fode, you can put your microphone up.
Okay.
Beatrice, we are not getting you. We are not getting you.
Well, I'm not getting a song.
Hello, you guys getting me? Are you getting
I can
me?
hear you. Yeah, I can get you.
Okay. Reverend, are you getting me?
Yeah, I'm getting you, but I'm in a little bit
Okay.
lost. Let me move.
Okay, you can go ahead, Reverend.
I'm getting somewhere.
Hello?
Yes, Beatrice. We are getting you now.
Okay. Okay. Thanks everyone for the platform. I can go on.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh, uh, I'm Beatrice Nalo. I'm student at the University of Labrador. I'm a junior student right now at the University of Labrador. Well, thanks for the platform. Uh, Concerning the issue and the topic, that's the topic we are in debate on the topic on this debate. That's the civilization. The black as a follower as I have been doing a follower, the black have been really discriminated in a lot of countries, especially for Western country America. I have not traveled yet, but from the research that I've been doing, from all of my research that I've been doing, past time, for the past year, and
Princess,
following that, hello, and following,
princess,
hello,
hello, princess.
Yes,
hello.
Beatrice, go ahead. Go ahead, Beatrice.
Go ahead, Beatrice.
Okay, and following my research that I've been doing, from the research that I've been doing, the blacks have been really discriminated. We have been deprived of our rights. Even if we have gone astray and let's say mistakenly fall into trouble, the investigation that white people need to go on do when blacks fall into trouble. It's not the disease. It's not the perform investigation they can carry on only because of the color, because of our black colors, and forgetting they are forgetting to know that we are all one. The same breath in every one of them is the same breath purporting us. We are all one. It's just because of the colors that are different. But seeing following a lot of cases I've been following through the internet for my research, we have been really discriminated. Even when it comes to education, when it comes to the school business education, when you know the most people that have trouble, it will be the percentage of how much this person should earn, a percentage of how much a person should earn between the whites and the black. But which is really wrong. But firstly, it have to do with if we want to make a difference in life, the first change have to come from with the blacks. It have to come from with the black. We have to be united to see each other, our black brothers and sisters, our black mothers, our black friends. We have to take each other to be one and not to carry on hatred in our hearts for each other. With that, if we can only do that and put up the mind, the love in our hearts for each other, together we can make a difference. We can defeat the people and make them to understand that, oh yes, we are one. But if we get hatred in our hearts for each other and not willing to help our blacks, brothers and sisters, not willing to carry them forward, not willing to push for their dreams, if they share their dreams with you, and you are not waiting when you have the things to them, well, it will be that it's really or it's really frustrating. So to carry on this way from my own perspective, from my own thinking, to carry on this way, it will be okay that we come together as one. If we can stay to defeat if we can stay together to be one people, we will surely come up with the idea that if the people, even if we they see us doing the right thing, they will come out and say, oh yes, These people met for something. They will come, they will gather the something that, oh, but we are all one. Instead of fighting one another because of the color, instead of pushing away this kind of people because of the color, why can't we reunite as one people? We have the brain, they have the brain. Together we can make our mind of one, put forth of one mind, and put for our idea, and they will accept it. But saying being affected that we know united among us, it will be frustrating. A lot of black people, as I do follow, I ask a lot of people as how blacks have been treated in Western country, out of the country, out of but following country, different part of the country, especially of African country. I've been asking people how blacks are being treated, and most of what they can say, and they can prove it and say they gave back evidence towards it. Following all of the cases, and even I feel more bad of recently when the case of George Floyd came up. You know, as I was doing my research on the George Floyd case, I felt too bad being the say of how he suffered, how he died for only because of his color. And police have to pull him down. They couldn't give him, at least if they were going to give him a chance. So even speaking man or taking to the police station to carry on proper investigation before his death, that would be better. But saying that because the court in her act and just right away put for death sentence upon him, to be honest, it really hurt me. It hurt me a lot. Apart from George case, John Floyd case, I've been following a lot of cases there. One of the cases I followed was one Michael Brown. I think he was 18 years old, and the reason that he called up me to ask, police have no investigation on the board, needed to take it for proper investigation as or how he was found in that situation, in that act. To carry on at least it will be on 3 days or 1 week investigation on it will be okay. But they never do so. Instead, when he was caught in an armed robbery near near a store, convenience store, and really the cotton shot and shooting to death. If to be honest, if it was one guy that was going to be caught into that, definitely they were going to carry on or investigation. Either it will be 3 days or 1 week they are going to carry on investigation because their colors and the person colors are the same. They are all one. But seeing them treating us a day, to be honest, is very bad. It hurt us. And we have to put
Sorry,
this on.
if you're hearing me, I'm not hearing you.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Beatrice, go ahead. There's a problem with
Yeah,
it.
are you hearing,
Yes,
hearing me?
yes, we are getting you.
Okay. Yeah, as I said, same these things going on and on. It's
Okay,
really,
thank you, I'm leaving. Maybe there's a technical problem. It will be my pleasure and to rejoin you at another time.
saying that these things going on and no proper investigation there to stop, to get everyone under control. The blacks really have been maltreated. We are really being maltreated by the white people because of the color, and we are one. That's part of our color. The blacks, the brown, and the white. We are one. We are all human. We are all made by the dust. We were created by God. And from there, God created us for dust. So if you try to hate your friends human because of their color, tomorrow, if you die and leave all of this and leave this world, leave your property and return back to God, what
Okay.
judgment will you?
Beatrice will come back to you. You was talking about Michael Brown. I just took the photo of Michael Brown. Michael Brown, 2014.
Yeah,
Michael
yeah,
Brown was walking with his friend, and the police shot him to death. So
yes. And
this is
nothing about it on the street.
this is the black discrimination we're talking about. So this is a picture of
Yeah,
of the 18 years old Michael Brown. So Beatrice will come
Yes,
back to
yes.
you. You can off your microphone. We'll come back to you. Uh,
All right.
Again, it is my pleasure to welcome our student leader, one-time president of the student community of Cottington University, and the CEO of NIMA Alliance for Development in Nimba County, and representative for 2023, NSPO. NSPO, you can speak to us and share with us your view, your thoughts, your analysis, how you feel about Black discrimination.
Thank you very much. All right, let me first use this time to extend thanks and appreciation to the organizing board of this debate festival, the Student Democrat, and especially to Mr. Princeton Bowman and Ambassador Princess Tello. We like to say thank you ever so much for affording us the opportunity to share our individual and collective thoughts about the way forward in ending Black discrimination around the world. Well, like he said, my own name is Ernest Nye Kpoo. I'm a graduate from Cardinal University, a former student council president of the 14th Student Legislative Council of Cardinal University Student Union, and I'm the founder and the chief executive officer of the NIMA Alliance for Development youth organization that is working in Nema County to enhance the developmental agenda of the county and Liberia as a whole. It is a great pleasure and opportunity to share my thoughts about the wonderful topic under discussion, Black discrimination. As we all may be aware, we all are one, and fundamentally, there has been a kind of fundamental problem about our race. We have been discriminated from the onset of this world. That is, from the beginning of slavery, when Black people were forcibly taken out of Africa and out of Africa in Europe and the Americas during the time of the colonization and expropriation of foreign land, that which the Westerner and the Americans enjoy the lavish and the good things from Africa today. Well, the topic is a kind of good topic. And moving forward, I will be looking at the way forward, how we can end Black discrimination, possible recommendation. Because if you look at the United Nations as a global governing body in the world, the United Nations has been doing some good things when it comes to stopping racial discrimination. As we're all aware, racial discrimination around the world, on the average, we the Black, we tend to be victimized on the average than any other race around the world. So it is something that we need to look at it, and not just from a kind of framework perspective or legal document perspective or from condemnation background, but a kind of measure that will totally eradicate discrimination against us as Black, because we have been discriminated to the greater extent around the world, right? When it comes to the job sector, even when it comes to traveling at the airport, you see people will always delay the processing of Black people during transit, and they will always prioritize people of non-white race, non-Black race. So the issue of Black discrimination is something of global concern that we need to act. We need to come up with some possible recommendation beyond condemnation that will totally eradicate Black discrimination. Well, like like I was talking about the United Nations, in November 1963, the United Nations had a kind of first discussion about how
Good
to
morning.
eradicate all forms of discrimination around the world. And that discussion came to finalization in December 21st, 1965, when a legal framework was adopted to stop all forms of discrimination around the world. Now the question is, are those frameworks that are being adopted by the world leading body like the United Nations and other humanitarian organizations, are those legal framework actually working in the case of Black people? Are we being protected, or what is the problem? When you look at all of these framework, our African leaders are signatory to all of these legal framework. Other nations are signatory to all of these legal framework. What is it that every time around the world that Black people will be discriminated to the highest extent? We need to think, and this is an opportunity to call on the United Nations and all government body to act beyond condemnation of Black discrimination and all forms of discrimination. Why do I mean act beyond condemnation? We need to come up with a kind of punishable framework that will be in line. Because if you look at discrimination around the world, right, discrimination varies from historic, cultural, region, and demographic from region to another. So it is important that we establish a kind of punishable framework that will be in line with one region, from one region to another. That is, if the America, if you look at America as an instant, the level of discrimination in America is not compared to the level of discrimination in the Great Britain. If you look at the Great Britain, the level of discrimination in the Great Britain is not as compared to the level of discrimination in France, in Portugal, in Spain. So discrimination around the world from Black people varies from one region to another based upon culture, based upon diversity, based upon the history of that nation. So it is important that we adopt a kind of punishable framework that will be well monitored, well effective and efficient to deal with all forms of discrimination in order to end discrimination against Black people and all forms of discrimination.
Mr. Enespo, you talk about framework, and I want to take you to Article 14 of the International Human Rights. Article 14 of the International Human Rights analyzes that there should be no discrimination. And United Nations is a very big umbrella that have the conglomeration of the entire signatories of the nations in the world. So if they are present and we are still seeing discrimination, then who are we as an African that we can create framework to stop discrimination in Asia, in America, in Europe?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am not saying we as Africans should adopt our framework. We are recommending to the United Nations through this discussion that there is a need that the discrimination law globally be revisited, be re-scrutinized in the interest of current days happening around the world.
Mr. Pope, you talk about recommendation. The thing is constitutional. The United Nations Human Rights Act Constitution. And Article 14 of the Constitution talk about no discrimination. So are you going to recommend to them wherein this thing is written? Are you simply trying to tell us that the United Nations has written the Constitution, but they are not implementing what is written within the Constitution?
Yes, that is one aspect. That is one aspect. Monitoring and evaluating and effectively and practically putting this law into action is a major concern now for we the black people.
Mr. Paul, let me hear from another person. We'll come back to you. Let me hear from another person.
Okay, thank you.
You can put your microphone off. We'll come back to you. Today is the tech session of our Black African debate, hosted by Love Professional University, the nation #1 private university. Now, we will give the platform to student leader activist, Ambassador Harris, to give us his own thoughts and analysis, how he feels as an African. Mr. Harris, you are welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Let me use this medium to say thanks to the organizing body of this forum. That is the
you have to be loud. You have to be loud a little bit. Increase the volume.
Okay, I said thank you. Let me use this medium to say thank to the association, that is the Student Democrat at the lovely professional university in India, for giving me the privilege to speak in my view and my analysis when it comes to the topic under discussion, the black discrimination in Africa and across the globe. By the way of introduction, I'm Harris Cleon Jr., also founder of Growing Seed Foundation Liberia, an agriculture NGO that is associated with a high school garden program, when they fight that 80% of our food that we eat comes from agriculture. So we have been moving that organization from that perspective of agriculture. And I've come to the argument with different views because I refer to that as the 40-50, the 40-50 quadrant, where I'll be looking at our own discriminations in our country, looking at Africa and across the world, that is Asia and the America. Basically, if we look at our own country, Liberia, West African country, something that refers to as stereotyping. Stereotyping is involved with the process of certain group of people trying to discriminate. For example, it is often said in Liberia, we say bastard men can steal, better men are stupid. Also, we also involve saying bastard women are prostitutes. You know, and the list go on. And I do not think that these stereotypings will help us. Like the other one that obviously say vile people lack money and lack good business and are very lazy. Give and money people less security and they're killing business. You know, these are stereotypings that bring so level of divisions among us. That alone is not fine for us. It's not fine for us. It's also how I refer to as racism. Because if you look at the context.
Ambassador Harris, I'm coming. Ambassador Harris, I'm coming. Reverend Samuel. Hello, Reverend.
Hello.
Reverend Samuel. Reverend Samuel.
Are you getting me?
Yes, Reverend Samuel. You are the one presenting on the stream. You changed the whole platform to the phone stream. So you have you have to work on it.
Okay, I'm working on it.
You have to work on it. You change the whole platform to the phone screen. It should be the computer screen.
Is it okay now?
No, it's not okay. I don't know what happened. Okay, it's okay. It's okay now. It's okay. Harris.
Okay, so like I was saying, looking at racism is the belief that a group of human possesses a belief or trait corresponding to physical opinions that they have that superiority, that they should be better than this, either per color, either per ideas, their way of life, or their religion. And I want to say this: if and only if we are young people of this generation, we want to see a tremendous progress in the fight against black discrimination in Liberia or West Africa or Africa a lot. There's a need for us to look at it from our own confine. Now, for the Eastern, yesterday I was privileged to go to the local bank at Broad Street. And now this day you observe that the bank is very packed, and also you observe you have a line, you have a queue. But you observe the queue, the only man will not stay in the line. He will come and go in the bank and do his transaction and come outside. So you see that? So the essence of racism is almost like a system. It has been built. It has been built like a system. Even we ourselves, we try to fit ourselves into that system. Even among us, we discriminate. So, and the reason why we do that is because of one reason. And that would be the way forward when it comes to racism, or the way forward. How can we mitigate the process or improve ourselves? One, the reason why you see in Asia,
Ambassador Harris, can you put your camera
yeah.
on? We want to see you. We want to see you.
Okay. My camera is not very clear. I hope you see me. Okay, now, right?
Yes, okay, okay.
Okay. So the reason why you see people in Africa, people in Asia, people in the US, they try to have like 60% as my research to be more discriminatory with black. It is because we from Africa, our leadership, the reason why you see more black choosing away from Africa to Europe is because they want to live a better life. If you have a government that will provide a need of the people, a government that will provide job opportunity for the people, a government that will see the people need as their priorities. I think going to Europe or going to Asia, the amount of people that die in the Mediterranean Sea on an annual basis, it will not be the same. This is why, if you look at true research, 2019, according to the Middle East report, we have 140 Ethiopian Jewish in Ethiopia. Now, the level of Ethiopia, they went to Israel. And there was a demonstration in Israel that led to the killing of one Solomon Takin, a young man of the Ethiopian origin, who was killed by off-army police. Right? And in that protest, you observe that the RDF, the Inner Defense Force, went in defense of the police, and they arrested 100 Ethiopian, all because they said they were a threat against the security system of the country. So from that perspective, you observe that even now in Israel, looking at the percentage rate of the amount of the Ethiopian Jews that go to prison is more than the real Jewish people. So you see that the reason is because they are a black Jewish from Africa, and they had a white Jewish. You see, now if you look at the income percentage between the Ethiopian Jewish and the Jewish from Israel, you observe that the Ethiopian Jewish they earn 11,300 shekel. Shekel is a currency, and the real Jewish their monthly income is 15,509 shekel. You see, so that to say the issues about black discrimination, we cannot fight it from Asia, we cannot fight it from America, but we need to fight it from Africa. Signify Africa who greater portion of the black in the world. This is why if you look at two research, black men and white men, they consume or use drugs on a similar rate or ratios. But looking at the majority, you observe that the black men will be sentenced, than the white men. While it's true that they both, ratio or quarters consume drugs, but you also observe that because
Ambassador
Yeah.
Harris, yes,
Yeah.
we want to know as whether you can differentiate between law, society, and discrimination.
Okay, society is a civilization where a group of people live with a common ideas and governed by a law, right? Okay, you talk about what? Race, right? Race, right?
Law, society, and discrimination.
Law, society, and discrimination. Okay, discrimination, for example, it is a belief that a group of humans possesses a different behavior, traits, correspondence to physical appearance. It can be divided based on their superiority. That is, they get a feel that because of their position, they had a superiority on this. Yeah, that would be discrimination. So you discriminate yourself because you feel that you have a supremacy. Then law is also governed by a state or country in order to have some level of protections when it comes to some legitimacy.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
this is Mayor Forty, Kekula 40.
Yes,
Yeah.
doctor.
Yeah, I'm really tempted to come in and make some clarification as we move forward in discussion.
Okay. Ambassador Harris, put your microphone up. Let's hear from doctor.
Discrimination is a very touchy topic and a very touchy issue. But I want us to distinguish between individual discrimination and institutionalized discrimination. Okay? Because those two are not the same. The individual discrimination is what happened at our level. Like Mr. Jinenya was talking about going to the bank and giving preferential treatment to all these people. That's an individual discrimination. Discrimination is taking place at the individual level. And the teller or whoever that is giving that preferential treatment, maybe they stand to benefit some monetary value at a time. So that is really happening at the individual level. Even the police treatment. A police meet you in the street, I'll say, because I live in America. They see you, your appearance make them to treat you the way they want to do it. So their biases will all go in there. Those are discrimination taking place at the individual level. But the way I see discrimination, which is more consequential, which is serious, is the one that is happening at the institutional level. And at the institutional discrimination, for instance, you go to America, they have something called redlining. Now, redlining is where you have a mortgage company, and maybe I meet the same credit history. I get a same credit score as compared to a white person. but my mortgage application will be denied, or because the mortgage company gets some policy where they have already identified certain region or certain neighborhood that those who live there, they can decide how to whether to approve their credit or how much credit that you give them. Or you go, for instance, like we from the background of sociology, we have urbanization. You have the inner city and you have the urban, where when you go in the urban area, and sometimes we'll be speaking abstract, but I know how it's strong, but when you go in the urban area, because most of the white people move in the urban area, and most of the minorities, especially the blacks, live in the inner city, you see the level of development that's taking place in those two neighborhoods. You see that there are more resources given to the urban area where you have predominantly white people as compared to the side where you have black people. These are institutionalized law. If you follow the American law, there's what we call Brown versus the Board of School or Board of Education. Now, people have the institutionalized discrimination where the services they provide to a black person is different from the services they provide to a white person. How do we fight those institutionalized discrimination? It comes through laws. That's why in most countries you have what they call the equal pay. Obama passed the equal pay, no, equal work, equal pay law. Like, for example, a woman like Beatrice was talking about, a woman will work with the same qualification as men, but the woman pay less and the men pay more. Even in country like Liberia, I teach medical sociology. If you go to the health insurance, the women pay more and the men pay less in terms of the insurance premium. These are discriminatory practices that are institutionalized. How do we fight against that? Every country in the world practices some form of discrimination. Every country. Saudi Arabia, the women get very limited rights. Even in your own country, Liberia, there are some discriminatory practices. And I agree with you, Harris. But how do we address the institutionalized practices that go on? Because it affects the chances that people have in life. Discrimination will take place even through law. You know, people giving, just by looking at you, the black man, they already have that stereotype. They already have that thinking that, oh, I mean, especially the way some of the African Americans behave, it kind of makes people to internalize the feeling that black men are violent. Black men can do this only when you can just say appearance and make them feel otherwise. If you look at some people, someone who is an Arab, we already have a stereotype notion of them, that they are terrorists. So you see some here, you begin to discriminate on that basis. So discrimination against black, we're talking about the UN, Ernest talking about the UN, but we already have a convention. We have the International Convention on all forms of discrimination, to eliminate all forms of discrimination in the world. We already have that law.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor's separation of power was first initiated by a French jurisprudence called Dick Musticoin. And America was the first that initiated this into their constitution. The founder of the constitutions of America spoke wisely against discrimination. Now, Abraham Lincoln brought about democracy, and he said democracy is of the people, by the people, and for the people. But today, we still experience discrimination in the US, high degree of discrimination. Now, I will show to you, this is a guy, a 26 years old, Barton Jones. Barton Jones, a 26 years old Barton Jones, were killed in America because of discrimination. So what you have to say about the discrimination in America?
Good. I will just tell you about the professor, the African-American scholar, just to buttress the point you're making. In 2009, when Obama was president, you follow about one Gates, Professor Gates from Harvard University. He had come from out, this is his own home. He was trying to enter a home. A somebody passing by saw him opening the room or a home, and because he was black, they called the police. And when your father story Gates, Professor Gates, Obama had to invite him and the white policeman to the White House to have beer. But just by his luck, because he opening the house, and this person passing by thought that that was somebody who wanted to burglarize because he was black. So he called the police, and when the police came, they arrested him. You know, a professor from Harvard University. I'm not just saying somebody else. So that's why in the U.S. there have been attempts to end discrimination, but there still remain. There are still people who think that Harold was saying they have that feeling of their race is supreme to other race. So the way to fight it, and like Stacey Abrams said, people must fight and put in place those who have been making policy, those who have been making decisions, because institutionalized discrimination are embedded in decisions, in law that are made, and those who implement the law. So until black people begin to work together, like they're going election, to work together to make sure they put people in power who will make sure that these discriminatory practices that are embedded in the laws, in policy making, are getting rid of. And I think I'm hopeful, but it might take some time, but I know we're getting there, because in the past where they had a law that all the, this area reserved for white, the area for black, those practices are going away. Now we have the affirmative action. We have other laws that have been come in to get rid of the equal pay policy also there. So there's a way to end discrimination. But at the individual level, we all have our biases. Even here in Liberia, I have my bias. Maybe I'm from a different political party, and somebody from another political party, I get discriminated on that basis. But those are individual, happen at the individual level. But I think our focus should be on the
okay. Doctor will come back to you. Let's hear from Reverend Chea. Reverend Chea.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Welcome to Lovely Professional University, Indian #1.
Thank you.
Platform. Here we are discussing about our third session of Black Discrimination Festival. So we are happy, we are pleased, we are humble to have you on our platform today so that we can discuss about Black discrimination.
Yes.
Yes, you can give us your thought about Black discrimination.
Well, again, thank you. I'm sorry I had some technical maybe problem from my end, and I did not hear some of the first speakers, but I followed later extensively. Like I told you, I come to these discussions with a background in religion. I'm a pastor, and also from social sciences, because I'm an educationist. So the first thing I must note with gratitude the point made by Dr. Foley, distinguishing between institutional laws and individual levels of discrimination. However, coming from a religious background, the first premise that I will lay is that discrimination has a basis in the human nature that is depraved, that there is not good. Take for example, even in the United States, if you will observe, well, you could take that to be individual laws, but those are groups. You have black churches, you have white churches. There are some churches you go, you see predominantly black, you hardly see any white. You go to white churches, you see predominantly white. In some instances, you don't see a single black person. There's a well-known preacher who is a tele-evangelist. He is said, well, it may be wrong, he is said to be a racist. He's a preacher, very renowned web preacher, yet in his church you can't need a single black person there. Well, you could say that individual law because in the state has that institutional laws that only blacks should go to black churches, only white go to white churches, but it's a matter of human nature, and that human nature translate to the culture and to the society. Even places you have institutional laws against discrimination, and the enforcement, can the effective enforcement of that law depends on the humans who will implement. So it all comes down to the human uh, nature. There are some levels of discrimination, even institutionalized ones, that are determined by some other factors. Like Dr. Foley made mention of the insurance. Insurance, they get women higher a premium than men. Of course, if you ask the insurance people, they are in business. They are not welfare. And from their statistics and data, they conclude that women get medical problem more than men. So based on that, they gave them higher premium. That could prove me wrong because I'm not in hospital to to, to know what the data are, but that's a common thing that is said. And that women, they visit hospitals more and they have problem more. So based on that, I say that to say that there are some dispositions, there are some tendency toward this discrimination based on some other inherent factors. But like we all have said, and we need laws that will make discrimination a criminal act. Nevertheless, there must be people to enforce. And we know of instances where institutionalized system of criminalizing discrimination, yet the people on the field, you enforce this. You could say, well, that's individuals. You have soldiers discriminating. So individual discrimination heavily have bearing on institutional law, because if you have a large segment, of a particular group of people implementing that law, they will definitely discriminate even in the enforcement of that law.
Okay, Reverend, thank you very much. We'll come back to you. Let's hear from
You're welcome.
Reverend Samuel. Reverend Samuel, are you there? Hello, Reverend Samuel.
Are you getting me?
Yes, I'm getting you, Reverend Samuel.
Okay.
Welcome to India #1 platform. Reverend Samuel, Martin Luther King
Yes, sir.
said, and I quote, "On the red hill
Hmm.
of Georgia, my 4 living children will be judged by the character, but not the content of their skin." So, to begin with you, I would like for you to justify, what do you think Martin Luther King said this?
Thank you. Again, let me say good afternoon to everyone in and out of Liberia. Thank God for my own chairman, Dr. Foley, and the Reverend there. Martin Luther King Jr., in my mind, said that because of black discrimination, predicting that there will come a day in America where the black man and the white man will sit together, or the black man, let me say the white man, will not judge the black man based on the color of his skin, but the content of his character. And we saw that prophecy coming to pass when Barack Obama came to power, when he became president in the United States of America. But in my mind, my own analysis about Barack Obama, he was black on the skin, but inside of Barack Obama is a white man. I see a white man inside of Barack Obama, even though he's a black man, but inside of him is a white man.
Even though he's a black man, hail from Kenya,
On
mother
the
hail
skin
from
was
America.
inside of Barack Obama. I see, I see a white man because we still see discrimination in America. And like my chairman said, yesterday I was asked as to whether Africa will be united. You asked me that question, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
We have individual discrimination. I told you that the individual orientation, the way we see things, our upbringing, even in the even in Liberia, when it comes to politics, because I told you discrimination is not only about skin or color of skin. Discrimination could be based on gender. Discrimination could be based on our political ideology or our economic, our way of looking at the economy. In Liberia, we have people discriminating. One of the reasons why I told you yesterday that Africa will not be united is because the power struggle, the greed for power in Africa, the way we see one another in Africa. Go to Guinea right here. I told you yesterday, go to Guinea, just right next door from our hometown in Lofa to Guinea could take you 1 hour. Go to Guinea, we marry, we carry on intermarriage and think. But if you were to go to Guinea, you will be discriminated. So in Liberia, someone talk about system. We don't have system. The way we see one another, the way our ideological coloring, like I said yesterday, the way we see things. So to get rid of discrimination, somebody was talking about making laws. The law can be on the book, but the implementation of the law or the enforcement of the law is one problem. Like the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights is an international document adopted by the United Nations General Assembly that gives right and freedom to all human beings. It was accepted by the General Assembly as Resolution 217 at its third section. The declaration consists of 30 articles, and article number 1 reads, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Do we see that? America is aware of that. France is aware of that. Germany is aware of that. All of us are aware of that, but yet we don't treat each other in a spirit of brotherhood. So for your question, to answer your question, I see Barack Obama, who came to power as a result of the prophecy of Martin Luther King Jr., the late, but I see him outside as a black man, but in him is a white man. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Reverend will come back
May
to
I come
you.
in?
Now,
May I come in?
yes, Reverend, come in.
Yeah. Thanks to the previous speaker. Now that case study about Obama tells you the power of institution. That Barack Obama man, he is just one man. One black man in an institution of white people with all his power. You see, he could not do anything. He was directed by the institution. He was directed by the institution. Even if he wanted some laws passed, those laws have to be passed by a group of people dominated by him, by what? So we see the power of institution there. So even at one black man, he couldn't do a thing. That's why we say despite laws, society is eminently responsible for discrimination. And with all the institutional laws and what have you in the US, you get people in the street, people rioting. That is not policy of the United States government, but a group of people who are a society. They are adherent to that because of the very nature of the human being. So in the human being themselves, I told you that I come from a, a, a Bible and education background. So people must unlearn certain things. In the absence of that, I don't care how many laws are made, there will always be loopholes because in the men and the human beings who are responsible and to enforce those laws, they will be sucked in by their stereotypes, by their culture, and by their inherent psychological disposition, and by their own cultural leading. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Bonavera.
Yes, sir.
Reverend, I seen just tempted me, so I wanted to just respond to him. He talked about, he said Obama is black outside and white inside. I couldn't disagree more. I completely disagree with the Reverend. I think it should be.
That's my opinion.
I think it should be the reverse. It should be the reverse. I think if you tell me Obama is white outside and black inside, I will agree. Let me just support my point. When I went to the U.S. University, I entered the University of Iowa. They usually they identify one book for all the students to read, and they organize a debate like this. So I was one of the panelists the very first year I met him. And the book that we debated that year was Obama's first book, Dream from a Father. And in that book, I thought I didn't know Obama had just gone to the US. Obama had a different name. Obama had a pure white name given to him by his maternal parents, grandparents. And when Obama got to realize in the 8th grade that his father came from Kenya, he went home and told his grandparents that from today on, my name is not. He changed the white name and took Barack Obama. For me, it's a manifestation that inside him, that he's a black man. When he left from law school, he chose to go to Chicago, but not just in Chicago, but to the south side of Chicago, where it's predominantly black. And you can see the disparity in terms of housing, employment opportunity, you see it. And there where he lived and where he currently lives, For me, those are manifestations that that man is a true black man, even though the mother is white. And like the Reverend was saying, Reverend Chea was saying, Obama came to power again in a system that were entrenched and continue to be entrenched. That people vow they went to a meeting that were making one-term president, and they worked to make sure that happened. Obama did not do it. He worked. Even the Affordable Care Act that he passed, it was not easy. Obama brought several war in America, but he made sure to build it. And the way he built it, that's why Donald Trump could not easily undo that law. Because Obama, the law is big, but he borrowed the idea of the Republican. He embedded them in that law. And part of that law that the white man don't like is that Obama's argument was the issue of healthcare. That people pay their premium, but some of the whole year they don't go to see the doctor, but they still calling for their pay. So Obama was saying, if somebody pay their premium and they don't go to see the doctor for the whole year, part of their money should be given back to them. That's why the Republicans didn't want that, because most of the people who control the company are Republicans. They support the, so they didn't want that. But it's in the law. And Obama gave heavily to the minorities. That's why you see that they fought out to change it, they could not. Because part of that law, the students were considered. So it's difficult to undo that law. You will not only affect minorities, heavily blacks, but also you'll be affecting students. So that's why it'll be difficult to do that. But coming back to our Reverend Agbasi, you talk about when you go to Guinea, I want to see you. I think is people are xenophobic. You know, even in South Africa, when Zuma was in power, you saw that Africans that went to South Africa to look for a job, they were being discriminated against to the point where some were even killed. Some people are just xenophobic. They are afraid of strangers. Even us here in your town, I've been from Bonge. If somebody came there, though you're black, but sometimes there are suspicion of strangers. So I wanted to be clear about that. It's all over. But I'm of the hope that we can fight her and we cannot eliminate discrimination. But I think we can address it in a way that it will come down. Like the forum that we're having now. The more we talk about it, the more we engage it, the more we engage the public, and we don't keep quiet. Those who want to be discriminatory, they will kind of stop. And let me just share one as because in my workplace, shortly before I came, there was a white guy, an older guy, who said that he was a born Democrat. By that time, the primary was going on. Obama was in the race, John Edward, Hillary, and all these people. So initially, he was supporting John Edward. When John Edward dropped out of the race, it was between Hillary and Obama. He said he could not support Hillary because Hillary did not divorce Bill Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. So because of that, he said they didn't like Hillary. So after John Edward left out of the race between Obama and Hillary, he began to support John Edward, Hillary. When Obama defeated Hillary, then the next one went to work, the man keep a Republican hat for John McCain. So I asked him, when we were sitting in our room, I said, excuse me. I said, I thought you told me you were a born Democrat and you are almost in the 70s. You can never support Republican. Why are you supporting John McCain? He gave me some flimsy excuse. I said, no, that's not the reason why you supported John McCain. He said, why am I supporting John McCain? I said, you supporting John McCain because Obama is black. He got so furious because they don't want you to call them that they are racist and they are discriminatory. He was so mad he had to carry my complaint to the management. But I just spoke my mind. So that's what we need to do. We need to speak out. We need to talk because discrimination now is very discreet. In some of the area is open, but some of the area is more discreet. Out of the comment that people made to you, like there was a sociologist conducted a research in 1992 actually, among Mexican lady, and 40% of those that were interviewed said they have experienced some form of discrimination in the university. That was in California. And some of the comment that people are giving today, say, oh, when they say, well, I didn't know that a Mexican woman could be educated to have a graduate degree. That is a discriminatory comment. It's condescending and demeaning, but that is the stereotype that people have, and they are all the basis of discrimination, because people are prejudiced, and they use their prejudice to discriminate against other people, to feel that they are more superior, and they should be given more preferential treatment over the other people. The attack on the Capitol recently on the 6th is a classic example. Donald Trump and his followers feel that the black people votes are illegal votes. Only the white vote are legal votes. Can you imagine? Those are all manifestations of discrimination, and we need to challenge those and confront them. I agree that enforcement of the law will be a problem, but I think the more people we have hitting on these discriminatory practices, it can really help to address the issue of discrimination in the war against black.
Okay, Reverend, we'll come back to you. Let's hear from Mr. Koto.
Yeah, Mr. Bowman, how are you?
I'm doing good. Mr. Koto, this is the 10th session of the Black Festival debate hosted by Lovely Professional University. So we are very happy and pleased, humbled to have such personality on our platform so that you can share with us about Black.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I must appreciate all of the debaters, especially Dr. Foley. I've been listening to you, and I really admire expose and that of the Reverend. This is a platform that have been created not just to speak about discrimination, and also for us as a debater to learn from one another, so that we can move forward. So yesterday, day before yesterday, we had views that was being expressed. But for me, I still speak from the onset of my country, Liberia, because I haven't really been to Western countries to see what happens, but we read about them, we do our own personal research, and we get to understand what happened in those countries. But like Dr. Ford said in that capture, he was saying something about individual discrimination and institutional discrimination. And lastly, he said something about xenophobia. You understand that? Okay, firstly, before I done, you speak about discrimination in the US or in Great Britain or in India or any part of the world, apart from Africa, let me firstly deal with the issues of my own country, Liberia. Because I feel that if I deal with my issue in Liberia and then I settle it up, and I feel Liberians are not on the issue of individual discrimination, once we got one voice here, then when we're speaking as Liberian or when we're speaking as African, the world will listen. And I also heard about laws and laws that were made, and you were talking about Article 14 and what have you. And I heard somebody saying you want to make recommendation that Africans, there are strong laws. All of those laws have been made. Maybe we just don't know because people don't speak about them. And then even if you speak about them, they are not being implemented. Those laws have been made long time about discrimination. Those laws have been made to stop discrimination. But yesterday you see around the world, how can they stop? The people who makes the law are the same people who discriminating us, especially for the white. You look at the UN, we're talking about today. The UN head office is in the United States. That I agreed upon. That's a very fine idea. And then vast majority of the people who control the UNs are all worse than us. And then they make the law. They make the law. African leaders sign to it. Indeed, that discrimination need to stop, and we need to stop it. We need to stop it today. But yet, the same people who make the law lacks the implementation. So, how do you think discrimination going to stop? Let me speak of my own country. This is a place where in black, like I talked about devalue the last time. This is a country where we devalue ourselves. This is a continent that we devalue ourselves. This is a continent where a one man feel like he should be president for 80 years and nobody can come in. This is a continent where a one man feel that only his idea is better. Only what he says should happen. Only year that you feel people will come and say, my family, we are better. Like you are talking about the xenophobia. If you get to Ghana, you all hear the Ghanaian will be saying that we are the best. They are the best. They are the best. We are all blacks. They are the best. In everything, whether it's bad or not, they are the best. You get the South Africa, you see the South African men telling or Nigerian or Cameroonian or even a Liberian or Ghanaian that in fact you came to take our job, you came to take our businesses from us. You just now belongs to South Africa. You need to leave our country. To the extent that even that the photo was just talking about that even my very self monitor on television, you saw that blacks were killing black. So, what message, like I said the other time, what message are we sending to the world? If we are complaining of discrimination in America, if we are complaining about discrimination in Great Britain, what message are we sending? We're not even setting a good example. And you brought a question about unity in Africa. Wow. You think they're going to be united in Africa now? I'm not disputing the fact that there will not be unity among Africans. There will. And Africa will unite one day. We'll come under one umbrella, we'll speak with one voice, and then we will implement what we say. But see, for my country, Liberia, we had a 14-year civil crisis that people were responsible and people went to TRC to confess what they did. And yet today, they are not coming to apologize to the Liberian people for what they did. Yet today, they are not taking responsibility and say, indeed, this is what I did. But the criminals are in Liberia today. They are being the one that we applaud. They are being the one that, that controls the economy. They are the one that when they say yes, it's yes. When they say no, it's no. Then you still think that I should be okay when my father or my mother was killed and somebody who killed them stay living, stay alive. I'm seeing them and I still feel that bitterness. And then I still see them on top of their game. And I still see them making the same decision that they made that affected the life of my parents. We are victims today for all of those things right in our own African society. We're not speaking about it. We need to speak on it. We need to stand tall. We need to say this. As African, we need to come together first. We're not together. If I travel to Guinea, people feel like the guy was just talking about xenophobia. Why would you feel suspicious about an African? Or in my own village, if a son of my village go to America and then get good education, when you get back to your own country, you see everybody suspicious that guy was just talking about it. Oh, this guy come. He will take our job. In fact, in his own birthplace, you see people speaking on this kind of issue. Instead of embracing them, instead of saying, welcome home, what can we do to see our own country or this continent moving ahead? They don't do it, but instead to break them down. Then we still sit and talk about discrimination around the world. For me, I'm against discrimination around the world because if one black is being killed in the US or one black is being killed in South Africa, I feel like, wow, what is happening? I feel like I'm not a human being. I feel that I'm not even supposed to be the life. Because if I see my fellow black being killed for no reason, simply because he's black, and then when you go to the biblical aspect, the Bible talk about what? We were made in the image of God. It is specified to say that black were made in the image of God or white were made in the image of Jesus Christ or whatever it is. Like Reverend Abasa talk about.
Okay, Mr. Koto, we will come back to you. Let's hear from Ernest. Mr. Ernest. Ernest, are you there? Ernest Dato. Ernest
Yeah,
Dote, are you there?
yeah, I'm alone.
Okay, Ernest,
Yeah,
welcome to London Professional University. Mr. Koto will come back to you. Let's hear from Ernest. Ernest, today is the
Okay,
second
okay.
session of the debate, and we are happy to hear from you. So you are mostly welcome to share with us your view.
thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to all the panelists. They spoke well and they raised some key issues that I think all of the debaters need to look at very keenly and in finding a remedy to solve the issue of discrimination in Africa and the world. I think I listened to you when you made mention about Martin Luther King Jr. saying that I have a dream that one day a black man will not be judged by the color of his skin, also by the content of his character. But that is not the case right now around the world. Black have always been judged by the color of their skin. If we can show reference to that, I think I talked about it 3 days ago about the same issue of George. George was being dealt with or was being killed because of the color of his skin and not because of the crime he committed. But let's come to Africa. I feel through my own research I made a few days, I get to understand that there is severe level of hatred in Africa. And the hatred in Africa is not about the white and the black. The hatred in Africa is about the black and the black. I also understand that in the Western country, people pass the baton of leadership, the baton of progress, the baton of development to the next generation. But in this country we're in, most especially Liberia, we got people who in leadership who hold onto the baton and die with it and leaving the next generation to struggle and to suffer. When I talk about the baton, what do I mean? I'm talking about the 60, I'm talking about the government, I'm talking about the private sector. People feel that only they and their children should benefit. And if you feel that only you and your children should benefit, that shows that the white man will come in Africa and he will do anything he wants to do to that black man because that man doesn't have any source of income, doesn't have any way in which he can get money or do anything. So until our leaders of Africa can understand that they need to pass the baton of leadership and not to hold to it, we will continue to experience high level of discrimination in Africa. My brother David made mention about when you go to the US and you learn in the US, you come back to Africa, the white people feels that you too much for them, so they want to do any other thing. These are normal things that happen. But there is something that is very key. Sometimes we that profess that we are Christian, we that profess that we are educated, when we have achieved certain level of education, do you know that we discriminate the people in our villages, in our town, in our community? And the reason why we should do that, we feel that we are so much superior and they are not of our class. Until we can understand that we need to help the people to come to certain status in life or to come to certain stages in life. There will be high level of discrimination. It's not about only the white people. It's not only about only the black people. It's about thinking on doing the right thing. It's about thinking on doing the right thing. What sense does it make that you are educated and your education should be your access to development of the people of the community, should be your access to so many good things, but you are educated, you use your education to suppress the masses because you have acquired some level of education? That's discrimination. You don't need to be having a black or the white skin before we know that you are carrying some level of discrimination. So these are a few things. The African leaders, we as emerging leaders of Africa, most especially my homeland, my beloved country Liberia, until we come to that path, until we come to that junction where we will sit down and read between the lines and get to understand that the issue of discrimination should not only be because the person is white or only because the person is black. It should be something that we should sit down and think critically that even in our homes, we carry some level of discrimination. Even in our communities, we carry some level of discrimination. And the only way we can sort these things out is out of love. It's out of love. Because if you don't love your country, that's why you see people, leaders will leave on Africa and go to buy houses in the Western world because they don't have that love. They're not patriotic. If you're not that person that have that love and strong level of patriotism, what's going to happen is you're going to take whatsoever thing you have and carry out because you feel that the people that are in your country are too much low class and forgetting to know that the money you are taking from these people, these are people taxes they pay, the high-end money, but you feel that you want to live a luxurious life. That's some level of discrimination that you feel that you're too important, you want to leave from here to go to the Western world. Until we can erect chapel on these things, we will always be controlled by the white people. Until we can erect chapel on these things, Africa is heading to nowhere. Until we can erect chapel on these things by setting the policy, as I said on the previous page 2 days ago, until we can erect chapel to set policy that will help the black people in Africa, we will continue to face high level of discrimination.
Okay, thank you very much. So I just want to share with us some uh, data analysis, some research that we make. We came across that black being discriminated in America is a huge degree of something that we all have to fight as an African to eradicate. So this is a 28 years old Atanina Jefferson was killed by the U.S. Marine in America. She was discriminated. She was killed by the U.S. police. And this is 12 years old Tammy Race. Tammy Race was also killed by the U.S. police. We also have, along with us, Janisha. Janisha was also killed by the U.S. police. We have Brooks. I think you can see Brooks. Brooks was also killed by the U.S. police. We also have 28 years old Gali. Gali was also killed by the U.S. police. We have Gray. Gray, 25 years old Gray, was also killed by the U.S. police. We have Casali. Casali was also killed. 32 years old Casali was also killed by the U.S. police. We have Aiton. Aiton was also killed by the U.S. police. 37 years old Aiton was also killed by the U.S. police. Brenna was also killed by the U.S. police. Ariel was also killed by the U.S. police. Arrow was also killed by the U.S. police. Tanisha was also killed by the U.S. police. George Floyd was also killed by the U.S. police. As you can see, George Floyd. Gabriel Light was also killed by the U.S. police. Mr. Daniel was also killed by the U.S. police. 41 years old Daniel was killed by U.S. police. Marshalling, 50 years old Marshalling was also killed by the U.S. police. So we actually decided to bring these pictorials so that we as an African can know what is happening. That was the reason yesterday when I posted a question that with all of the resources we have beautiful continent called Africa, where the white man,
Mr. Bobby.
Yes.
Mr. Bobby, can I just come in? Can I just come in?
Yes.
From your research and your analysis. Okay, so now you speak of those people that were being killed in the US, right? So when white men kill a black man, now we consider it as discrimination. That's why when we talk about this debate should be where we have the pros and the cons. If a white man killed a black man, now it becomes discrimination in America. But when 4 auditors was being killed in my country, Liberia, and today there is no reason. In fact, there should not be the reason to say we killed this person. And today we have not heard anything. Nothing came from in it. If we say they don't speak on it, right? But when the black man is being killed in the U.S., We black in Africa get up and stand up and say we discrimination in America. We get up and want to demonstrate because we saw that when George Floyd was being killed, Nigerians went to the American embassy to protest. Liberians went to the American embassy to protest, and it was all part of Africa. But in my own country, where black kill black, we don't talk about it. We only talk about it mutely. And then we sit and we feel that discrimination gonna stop. It's not gonna stop. Before it stop, it need to start with us as African. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
Let me just respond to Danny point.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to confuse discrimination with certain things. The previous speaker, Ernest Doito, right? Ernest talked about certain people clinging to power and they don't want to leave it. For me, I see in the context of greed for power and discrimination, those are two different things there. There are certain people who, and I agree with him, certain people who want to cling to power and exclude other people, which is, it's just greed for power. How does that amount to discrimination? I'm saying I find it difficult to reconcile the two. Now, but I wanted to see discrimination on the basis of prejudice. At the individual level, we all get biases. Okay? I see, for example, I see Danny, and I begin to, based on my prejudice, I begin to do things against him, to stereotype him, and exclude him, deny him some privileges, some opportunities. That's how discrimination is, as I see it. Now, for those that were killed, I mean, I would say the discrimination is actually certain people who maybe feel that or felt at the time that these people have information on them that could be more damaging to them.
And that's want to make clarity.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thanks to all once again.
So let me speak to this. When I was talking.
Hello. Can I come in?
No.
I think it's ended what, Doito, right?
Yeah, Doito.
Yeah, okay, Doito, okay. You want to make clarification?
So when I was talking about discrimination when it comes to, I just want to speak to that. In my country, Africa, the youth have been discriminated. The fee that the youth in Africa, most especially Liberia, should not exceed to a certain level. So it's not about only greed. It's about because the person is a young person, he should not be at so place. That person is a young person, he's not well educated. That person is a young person, he doesn't have experience. These are some of the things they say, even if you go and you acquire any other knowledge, as long as you're a young person in Africa, most especially in my country, Liberia, there are some level of discrimination. And the reason why they do that is because you are of that age range from 25 to 30 to 35, you are around that age range, and they found some level of suppression on you by telling that you are not qualified for this or that. For the matter of fact, if you look at the ratio in Africa, most especially in my country, Liberia, you got many young people that have done well, that have experience, that have gone to school, they have acquired education on a very high level, but they have been suppressed by the people who are in the 70, who are in the 60. So that, can you please address that? Is that not a level of discrimination?
All right, thank you for the question. That it has to do with leadership, right?
I want to come in.
Yeah, well, let me address Ernest's question.
Okay.
I wouldn't outrightly say, you are wrong. No, I wouldn't say that. That would be unfair. To a very large extent, yet in some communities, especially when we discuss community development, where you have to be inclusive, there's a tendency for some people to exclude other people, okay? Especially the young generation. But again, the trend is such that even among you, the young people, sometimes you look at some old people, you say, you know what, your time has passed. We want young people now. So it's kind of vice versa. But the issue is that when it comes to leadership, yeah, there can be discrimination, but the way I see discrimination as it relates to the topic, it actually had to do with how we at the individual level, and that's why I'm trying to distinguish between the individual discrimination, which happened based on our biases, based on prejudice we had. But my focus is more on institutionalized discrimination, because why is that so important? That's important because it has to do with our self-esteem. It has to do with the chances that we must take care of in order to advance in life. Because if you have practices, laws that restrict certain people or deny certain people privileges, opportunities to advance, it's a problem because it's institutionalized. It's not on the individual basis, because for me as an individual, I can see you based on my biases, based on my prejudice. I can treat you unfairly. That's at the individual level. But there are practices that are entrenched if you go in the US, when you go to say admission processes, they sometimes give preference to the white over the blacks. When it comes to employment, they give preferences to the white over the black. There have been so many research that have been conducted that you will have a white person who is as qualified as a black man, or even sometimes the black man is even more qualified than the white man. But when the two boys apply for a job, the white man, the likelihood of the white man being selected or being employed is higher than the black man. Those are the institutional practices that tend to affect that person's chances to advance in life. Even the achievement gap. I was talking about, you have two school districts where they pump in more resources. You have another, because it is heavily white, you got heavily white students. Then you have another one that is heavily black, that got black students, but it's under resource. And there, if you go to America, you see it, these are all varying. When you even go, for example, let's say you go to Brooklyn Park, which is heavily where, in fact, they say that got a larger constitution of Liberia, also of Liberia. You will see the police presence in the black neighborhood more than the police presence in the white neighborhood. Why? Because of the stereotype they have. The feeling is that the black man can commit crime. So that's why you see them being heavily policed as compared to some other community that is heavily white people. Those practices need to be addressed and stopped. That's why I'm focusing my argument. But on the issue, for instance, if you go, competing. So yeah.
I want you to help me. 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 Yeah. In 2012, my little cousin joined Costi. You understand that? And she was taken to the Dusa hospital in Habel. And then they recommended that they would take her abroad or would take her to some African countries like Ghana. They recommended Ghana. Okay, this little child was being taken to Ghana. And according to the mother, when they arrived in Ghana, the legal document, after they explained her historicity, and then her document was being taken and placed under the file. And then Ghanaians that had those similar problems on the specific unit, they were being treated, and this little girl spent like 3 to 4 days in Ghana, lying down on the sick bed, dying. And then somebody, because by then my late father was former Minister of Education, Nye Kpoo. Because they said that this girl was a Liberian, her file was being placed until someone who recognized them from the last name of this little child, and then went to a doctor and told him, say, but there's a child in there they brought from Liberia. She's related to the Minister of Education. You understand that? We are all just black. And then before the doctor came and then took her information, before they sent the little girl in for surgery. And she spent months in Ghana before she came to herself. By the grace of God, she's well today. So can you just talk to me because I heard you mention issue about a mission where preference will be given to more white and then the black. So we also speak in that same content. Maybe it might be the hospital where you will see blacks are and then white are. Whether when preference are being given to the white than the black. And then in my own continent, Africa, where in your specific country, like Ghana, they give more preference to their people than that of their fellow blacks. So I just want you to explain to me in that content to really make me understand what are they really doing.
Good.
Because you spoke of individual discrimination. Thank you.
No, I agree. I completely agree. It's a form of discrimination. And maybe we could situate it in what I referred to earlier as people as xenophobic, right? People feel that they are more suspicious of strangers, and their suspicion, their prejudice make them to behave unfairly towards them. That discrimination. I agree with that. Okay. But
thank you.
And that same example that you gave, numerous studies have been conducted in the US when it comes to the treatment of black when they go to receive medical care. Some of the studies show that they allow some medical doctors to look at the treatment, they took video, they look at the treatment of a white person and a black person diagnosed with the same medical condition, and they needed some procedure. They came to realize that the procedure to save the life of those two group of people, they saw that the white received the procedure more than the blacks. The question of what could be the basis for that? What could explain that? If I went, I'll say I was diagnosed with certain sickness, and I should have gotten certain procedure to cure my medical condition, and the same white person with the same age group, the same income, the same education, but that person got that procedure, then I receive. What could really explain that? It's not like you don't have the doctor to do that. You don't have the reason to do that. But why is it that I won't be recommended a procedure to do? But a white person of my same class, my same age group, my same income, my same education will receive that procedure, and I don't receive it. That is where we call institutionalized practice of discrimination. So I agree with you. The point you made.
Okay.
So
let me come in.
This is Ernest.
Okay, Ernest.
Mr. Duato, you will come in, please. I've sat patiently, and I want to contribute for the second time. Mr. Moderator, you have to please come in.
Can we give chance to NSPO? We'll come back to you. Just keep your question for that. We'll come back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. And let me extend thanks and appreciation to all of the panelists for the wonderful contribution towards this wonderful discussion. And again, for the second time from my end, like I try flagging out the issue of the law referencing the United Nations, that all of these laws are on the paper. And how can we end these forms of discrimination, institutionalized discrimination, and individual discrimination? My concern basically is focused towards how we can put mechanism in place that we all can eradicate or end all forms of discrimination around the world against Black people or any other race as a whole. So with this law, talking about institutionalized discrimination, we are aware that there are laws on institutionalized discrimination. And with this law, are they protecting our interests as Black people, our race as Black people? These are questions that I'm concerned of. We have this law. What are these laws that are being practically put into place to protect all forms of institutionalized discrimination against Black people, to practically take into consideration all forms of discrimination against individual discrimination around the world. Like my colleagues reference about Africa, that yeah, it is true that we are discussing black discrimination in the West, in the US, but yet still we still discriminate among ourselves as black people. How can we stop discrimination among ourselves and then flag our voice out there to the outside world? How can we go about doing these things? These are cardinal things that I'm concerned about, that I would like to give my own view about the way forward to ending discrimination among ourselves. First thing, we have to look at our justice system. Our justice system as a whole is so biased enough to the extent that people will.
Mr. Kpoo, I learned from you about how can we stop discrimination. Before we proceed with methods of how to eradicate discrimination, I want to first know as whether we had democracies in Africa. If we had democracies in Africa, can you tell us about African democracies before we come to eradication of discrimination?
Okay, thank you. Yes, we have democracy in Africa, but the democracy in Africa is being portrayed in a form where the elite class, those who are fortunate to fall in certain category, that the democracy is actually for them squarely. But for the masses, the common people, there is no justice, there is no democracy clearly established for us in Africa, we as the masses. So moving forward, how can we curtail forms of discrimination, whether institutionalized discrimination or individualized discrimination? We have to take into consideration how our governance system operates, because the government has the sole authority to institute, to come across these policy, put mechanism in place that at the end of the day, that these good laws, these good policy will actually take effect in curtailing institutionalized discrimination or individualized discrimination. So our people in Africa, our government system has been a kind of bias, that we have been so wicked to our citizens, we have been so wicked to ourselves. So we need to take into consideration how, as African, how we can stimulate unity, how we can get rid of stereotypization, how we can get rid of xenophobic act among ourselves, because that reflecting the issue about being xenophobic. Xenophobic act is no different from discriminatory act, as we all aware. So you will see a white man in Liberia at the end of the day will be given more preference than a black man. In Africa, among ourselves, we consider ourselves to be so inferior. We give a kind of preference to the white people whenever they come here. So at the end of the day, our government system do not protect the citizen. Our government system do not protect the interests of the common people. So if we cannot promote a kind of self-respect for ourselves as African, how can we fight discrimination in the West, in America? So we first need to take into consideration how we can end all forms of discrimination, being a institutional discrimination, being a individual discrimination. So
Okay,
we need
to a point. To a point.
yes.
And let me first of all register my observation. And I think the presiding need to look at the process through the allotment of time, so that we can have our individual view being spread across. And be as it may, like the dad said about institutional discrimination, I want us to look at the 1923, that is the Liberian Aliens and Nationality Law, and the 1986 Constitution, which allow only people of Negro descent, those who are black, to obtain Liberian citizenship. And if you look at across Africa, that is the Malawi, Chea, before, according to histories, they restricted their citizenship to people of Africa origin. But the Lord now have been
Yes,
scratched over
yes, you
time.
are right.
Only Liberia,
Article 27,
yeah,
Clause B of the Liberian
yeah,
Constitution.
yeah, yeah, Liberia Constitution, right? Yeah. So only Liberia and Sierra Leone still hold on the Negro clause, where we have now accepted dual citizenship. If we want to accept, or we want to fight, or to accept the point that we can maybe minimize or unite ourselves, I think we look at from that perspective. Like the previous speaker said, I think it was the photo. He made mention of about hatred among ourselves. The issue of black discrimination is not only across Africa, Europe, and the America. While it is true, we have read sufficiently and observed that the discriminations in the America, in Asia, is in abundance. But I think from our perspective, doing analysis, the only way we will show for green light and readiness in Africa and beyond Africa is what to show some level of unison togetherness. That yes, the blind in Africa, they are ready to stay together and they are ready to stand for one cause.
Mr.
How
Speaker,
will,
you have to
how will
increase
we,
your volume.
yeah,
And that's where you have to pull your microphone
yeah,
off.
how how will we get that spirit of integration among ourselves? It will still go far to stereotypings that it does made mention about. So now, I think in my mind, in my view, the only way we can make some progress is for us to keep talking about this, is for us to put our government, to put the entire continent to be involved into this. So the issue of discrimination, even right in Morocco, in Africa, you observe that some Moroccan, they are white, and they also have the discrimination because they feel they are white, and a black man in Morocco, there's no level of discrimination as well too. So the discrimination issue is not only about Asia or America, but I think we have major part to play in the whole process. Yes, that is the view. That is my view. That is my view. And
Okay,
another thing,
information.
yeah, another thing I want to look at. Another thing I want to look at is the issue of the situation that I already made mention of, but I later dropped the line because I was having some network problem. I had to move on the street in order to be reconnected. But what I told you about the Ethiopian Jewish in Israel, you observe that they are being discriminated because of their color. Why it is true they believe in the same faith? Why it is true they go to the synagogue to worship? They are all Jewish, but there are some level of discrimination between the Ethiopian Jewish and the real Jewish of Israel. So you see that? So the only way in
So to
Ethiopia
understand
is
what,
out of Africa. Yeah.
hello,
And
Mr. Harris, Ambassador Harris, to
Uh,
understand from
it's out of
your
Africa. So
perspective
now,
of discrimination.
Ambassador Harris, let me hold you there and just conclude.
Yeah, NSPO,
yeah,
I'm coming back to you. Harris is trying to make point
yeah.
on discrimination.
Let me my thought.
He trying to
The reason,
decentralize discrimination in the sense that it is
yeah,
globally
yeah,
connected. Is an issue that almost 99% of the world population experiencing. So it's not only people of black color being offended by discrimination. That's what I'm trying to understand from him. For take Kerkula. Kerkula just enter. Oh, Mr. Forde, Dr. Forde, Dr. Forde.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, Dr. Forde. Can you provide us some basic?
On what now? Which is the question?
On the same questions about democracy, as whether democracy is practicalized in Africa.
Okay. All right.
Irish,
Definitely. You know,
Irish spoke
let
your
me,
microphone up.
Okay.
my mic, okay. But before I comment on the issue of democracy, I just wanted to know that the issue of discrimination is pervasive. It's commonplace everywhere.
Okay.
Okay, and it takes different form that we need to be aware of. I know Harris is in Israel, and one of the have the anti-Semitism where people are against the Jewish people, and we saw that recently when Trump supporter went and they had the Nazi flag, which is a symbol of going against the Jews, and you have what we call homophobia. You know, so discrimination takes so many forms. The homophobia, even in Liberia, somebody will tell you, say, oh, when you're homosexual, I don't want you. Then you are denied certain things. That's not all form of discrimination that we need to look at. We got what we call transphobia, classism, leftism. The way people look, we don't just like them. We discriminate against them. If somebody is disabled, we also discriminate on our basis. So discrimination takes so many forms. The way to address it is just what the Democrat organization are doing, what we're doing now, because persistent talking. Martin Luther King said the persistent, urgent question we have is, what are we doing for others? So if we are discriminating, what are we doing for others to stop discrimination against other people? That should be one of the basic questions that we should be looking at. But coming back to the issue of democracy, you know, I did sociology as a major in political science as a minor. And since I came back, I teach development. I tried to situate democracy in the issue of empowerment, empowering community in Africa, in Liberia especially. Okay? Because democracy, just by the definition, is government by the people, of the people, and for the people. It just requires involvement of people in decision making that affect them. Now, in our case in Liberia, you know, actually in one of my classes, I tell my students, I say, there's only Karl Marx talk about, he called it false consciousness. That most of our people have false consciousness. And because of the false consciousness they have, they feel alienated. They feel powerless. But I'm saying hope, I say believe that we'll reach to the point where our people will feel empowered. And when they feel empowered, they will increase their participation in the democratic process. They will. That they'll be making decisions with no undue influence from anyone. The recent December 8th election, I did my registration in Fendel. And where I went to do my registration, there was a lady who registered, and I think she was just giving birth to somebody. And she said, there's my voting card. I will vote for somebody who will give me $5. So she was behind me, so I turned around and said, you mean $5 US? She said, yeah. So I said, well, I can get you the $5. But maybe it was just a statement that she made. But she does not understand, just by her statement, she doesn't understand that decision she's making, it will affect her life. It will affect whether you will put in place a system that will not impoverish her, that will not create a condition where it will provide opportunities for her to transform her life. She doesn't understand that.
But doctor, you don't think she was speaking because of her current location, her current situation with poverty?
Precisely. That's where I'm coming. Precisely. She was speaking because, and she even went further, that day I'll be going to look for 1 cup of rice for my children and myself. You see it? So it comes right in there. So for democracy to really work, where even the young generation, like Ernest was talking about the participation of young people, to fully be participatory, making decisions, not being unduly influenced by some people outside there, it will require empowerment. So I've always, each time I discuss democracy, I try to situate it, I try to juxtapose it with the issue of empowerment. Because if our people are empowered to be able to make a decision that will really foster our democracy. Other than that, what we see happening is that somebody sitting somewhere and people making decisions for them. Even though you're here and participating, but it's actually people telling them to, people controlling them to participate. In a democratic process, people should participate freely, independently, and make a judgment that will affect them. So democracy, yes, we have it, because our form of government is a republic. We have a republic for the government, which is democratic according to our constitution. But are our people actually democratically taking part? Or say, oh, you exploit their current condition and make decision for them, but because they will be the shadow one making the decision. They are just used as pawn, especially the young people nowadays. So that, for me, that's how I see democracy. We are moving toward that. I'm hopeful that we'll reach to that point where our people will make decisions, not on the basis of somebody sitting somewhere giving them either $5 or giving them $10, but they will make it in the hope that their vote will help to transform their condition. That's democracy. So I tie it into the issue of poverty, into the issue of lack of empowerment. Because the poor are in power, so they allow the poor to make decisions for them.
So, Reverend, yeah. Okay, Harris.
This is
I think it's Ernest on. Ernest, Dr. Walter.
Okay, Ernest.
Yeah, I'm here.
okay. So I listened to Harris, and I also listened to Da. Harris may mention issue of dual. Harris may mention about dual citizenship. Like we don't want to here to bringing about the issue of dual citizenship. You don't. The first thing we need to understand is that we don't have a system. If you don't have a system that is working for the citizen in your country, and you bring about dual citizenship, the level of discrimination that is going to go on in Liberia, the percentage is going to be around 75 to 25%.
Mr. Ennis,
So let's look at
Mr. Ennis, what do you mean about system? What do you mean about we do not have system? Tell me about system.
It's you.
Okay. So when I mean we do not have a system that is working for us, it has to do with the government, the policy in which the government is making, the way in which the government is being run. If you have a system that is set in place that will improve the education system in our country, if you have a system that will improve the justice system in our country, if you have a system that will improve the agriculture sector of our country, and all these things, and then you got foreign nationals that will come in, there will be some level of respect for you as a citizen. But if you don't have a system in place for these things, like the labor law, you don't have a system, you don't have a policy that has been set up. You get Indian, Lebanese, who kind of would misuse our Nigerian brother. There is no system in place that gives aid to these people. So, and then the next thing, and one of the things that Dad may mention about that woman who said she wanted $5, I feel one of the problems that Liberia is facing is all because of bad voters. It's because of bad voters. We are concerned about what we're going to get today, and we are not concerned about our next generation to come.
I think
So
if you
politicians want to divide out. I don't believe them.
Mr. Ennis, you just said we do not have system. Then you talk about by voter. So it will be like you are contradicting me, because that lady, she decided looking for that $5 or selling her voting card for $5 only because of poverty. It is because there is no system, as she said. So the three branches of your government are not independent, to the extent that we do not have judicial review. We do not have quasi-judiciary. We do not have independent judiciary body that will prioritize the interest of the society. So they prioritize their self-interest, their children interest. So that poor lady, she was right to sell her vote for $5 because she knows that if she having to vote for this person, and then when the person is elected, she won't see that person for the next 6 or 9 years.
Information, I have a little different view.
So let's look at this. Let's look at
Can
the
I
issue.
can,
Let's look at the issue of Daros Delon and Daros Thomas Fala in my country, Liberia, of recent December 8th election.
Mr. Duato,
I feel the
information,
people
can I come in?
they want a policy to be put in place. So if they want a policy to be put in place, they rejected beggar rights. They rejected someone who come with another fake thing around. If it was because of money, we're going to win the election. It was because Liberian won 16. They want people that will bring about good policy. That's why they voted that.
What was the percentage that reflected the correct? There was okay, Mr. Dato, we'll come back to you. Let's hear from NSO.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, speaking about 16 in Liberia.
Mr. Dato, you can put your microphone off.
Mr. Duato said we do not have a system. I have a different view. I have a different view to that in Liberia.
Hello.
We do have a system in Liberia.
Mr.
What is the problem here is we do not have a kind of implementation arm. We do not have a kind of implementation arm that will take effect, that will have a kind of trickle down effect on the people at the end of the day. And
I'm coming. I'm coming. Yes, Reverend Chea.
Yeah, we are talking about discrimination, but even on this platform, I feel discriminated against because I am not jumping in. So you have not come back to me. Maybe you have concluded that I come from a religious bias background, uninformed intellectually. So you are not coming back to me. That is discrimination. And I wish I just start my protest here.
No, sorry, Reverend.
You guys pulled the microphone off.
You have not come back to me. You keep other over and over. This is a panel. I think we should be given equal time and to share. Well, because I'm not like other panelists who are just jumping in, so you have not called me in for the last 20 minutes or so.
No, not Doctor Reverend. It was like we been keeping you so that in case of anything, we'll call you so that you can rectify or make some suggestion or analyze what we are discussing. Because typically you are mature about spiritually.
You should the grand rule to say I'm the main guest. This is what they expected of me.
Oh, maybe the information was not given to you. Today you are the main guest. Yesterday was supposed to be Mr. 40. So today you are the main guest. So the reason for you is to open the debate. Then after they sit and monitor, then when we're about to close the debate, we'll call upon you so that you can finalize the debate. So I'm sorry if you felt discriminated. This platform is for us so that we can share our view. So I'm very sorry for being discriminated, as you said. So
I think the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Reverend, the floor is yours.
Hello, Reverend, are you there? Okay.
Can I come in?
Yes, Mr. Kpoo.
Yeah, while we are with and Reverend. So as I was saying, the issue here is we have a system in Liberia, but what matters is the implementation, putting into action this policy, this system that will work for the nation and its people. So we do have a system, but the implementation we have good laws in this country. So now talking as I was saying earlier that we need to work internally as African, as Liberians, be able to work out some modality that we can fight internally all forms of discrimination, being an institutionalized discrimination or individualized discrimination. Like our constitution as a whole, right? Our constitution is only limited to people of African descent, people of African colors. And in my mind, and that's a form of discrimination. We need to amend our constitution that will be able to work in current day reality, that that portion of the constitution that deny people of non-African descent citizenship in Liberia, we actually need to get rid of it. And talking about institutionalized discrimination, I want to speak to a briefly. Institutionalized discrimination around the world is a major concern, especially against Black people when it comes to the job sector, when it comes to health facility, when it comes to even traveling in transit. These are areas where people get stranded. People actually feel the average effect of discrimination, and it's a major concern because if you take as for instance, you on the job market, you will have people of same qualification doing same job, but when it comes to salary, there's a huge disparity when it comes to salary allotment. So that's a form of discrimination that actually need to be speak against and condemn when it comes to that in the job sector. And even hospital, like Mr. Koto was saying, they took his little cousin or son to Ghana, and that identical child was discriminated. That child was delayed in the process of serving medication, and people have to.
Mr. Kpoo, when you talk about salary and you talk about discrimination, I still confused to understand because if the man,
Okay.
I come in. Dr. Ford is a doctor. He holds a doctoral degree, and you have bachelor degree. Both of you can be paid the same salary.
No, this is not what I'm saying. When the salary set in the job market setting, you have, like for instance, in Liberia, people doing the same job in Ministry X, they have master degree, and someone is doing the same job in Ministry Y, and they have master degree in Ministry X because of some influence, some party or any other influence. That person will be making $1,000, and that in Ministry X, and that person in Ministry Y, because they came to the job with low connection, that person will be making like $500 or $400. That's a huge disparity, and that's a discrimination right there. I hope you getting my point. Hello? Wow. Hello? 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 Mr. Bowman, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Kpoo, we will come back to you for your parting comment.
Okay, thank you.
We'll come back to you. Mr. Dr. Forde. Dr. Forde, can you give your parting comment? Dr. Forde. Okay, Ambassador.
Hello?
Yes, Dr. Forde, can you give your parting comment? We have less
Can
than
you hear
me? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we want.
Okay, you want me to give my parting comment?
Yeah, parting comment.
Okay, well, I want to end with two quotes. two quotes from one Congressman, Robert Small's, in 1895 in the U.S. Congress. This is what he said. For the past history of them in this country, which made the U.S., prove them to be equal to any people anywhere. All we need is an equal chance in the battle of life. Then another one is by Jackie Robinson, who was a baseball player. This is what he said. I'm not concerned with your liking or disliking me. All I ask is that you respect me as a human being. I gave the two quotes to say that the black race, we the black men, we are as equal as any race. And we have the same intelligence, if not even more, as compared to any race. All we need is to be treated as equal, and we should be respected. Black discrimination can end through our advocacy. One thing I always say, there can never be a slave master if someone don't agree to be a slave. You don't want to say some poking lie, what do you mean? Though when you follow the transatlantic slave trade, those who refuse to be taken as slaves jump over the ship, and even though they die, but they refuse to be slaves. What I'm saying in essence is that you can allow somebody to discriminate against you when you give them the chance. We must speak out. We must oppose those who think that their race, their class, their status, we must challenge them and tell them you cannot discriminate against me. You cannot treat me subhuman. You can't deny me those opportunities that are equally due me. The only person who can do that, it is yourself. I want to say thank you, Mr. Bommy, and thank you, Princess, for giving me the opportunity to take part in this debate. I will always be willing to participate. But again, this is the way forward as to how we can end black discrimination is all being active, not passive. We got to be active participant in the discussion of black discrimination. We can't sit and fold our hand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Fode.
Hello?
Yes, I'm getting you. Thank you very much.
Hello?
Yes, I'm getting you.
Yeah?
Yes, we appreciate you for being with us today. We are excited that you appear on this platform to share with us about your experience. Thank you very much. Ambassador Princess.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to everyone for participating today. Sorry for coming in late at the end of the program, but I will also make my point here wherein they talk about individualism and society, institutionalized society. I would like to say that individualism must not be over society because discrimination was the major factors in the 18th century wherein we had a police state, wherein individuals then died, depressed, seduced, black couldn't walk in the streets, black couldn't ride in balls with the word white. So in the 20th century, when the welfare state came about, people spoke about discrimination. But yet still, we are not still getting out what they have spoken, what they have changed the police state from the welfare state. I think we should work in line with what we want and what we want for society to be. If you take a look at the police, where in controlling mechanism was done by the white supremacy, they will do lies over Africa, they will localize Africans, and in every part of Africa. They were in South Africa, they placed Nelson Mandela in jail for 27 years. They went to Burkina Faso, they killed Thomas Sankara at his early age. They went to Kenya, they pushed Kermee Kerkula against his own country. They went to Tanzania, they killed Julius Nyerere. They went to Africa Coast, they killed Geh Tuah. They came to Liberia, our own country. They killed Wayne Aratobo. And they arrested Chea, placed him behind bar in Finland. Now, as we're speaking, he's there for, like I say, lifetime. So now we should always think about that. We shouldn't make ourselves down to the white people because we think that nothing can come out of us. We think that all of our burdens, our survivability is within white mainland. It really hurt me a lot. We spend a lot of money in white mainland to go to school to acquire education because of bad governance in our country in Africa, because we don't love each other. The hatefulness is too much in Africa. If we can come to one understanding with one mindset to erase that discrimination for amongst ourselves, to think that we can do it on our own, to think that we have all the valuable properties, we have all of what that we think women is running to our country for. We shouldn't sit down as a young generation and allow the white people to be supremacy over us. No. I think we should stand for ourselves. We should stand for our generation to come. I believe Africa can be one. I believe we can have a better Africa for tomorrow. I believe even if it does not happen within our generation, it can happen in the next generation. Africa can be better. We need to stop thinking that all of our survivability is within white men who we cannot make it without white men mechanism. No. We need to put all of our own mechanism into place. We need to do something. We need to stand up and speak up for our rights. Those of us who are in white land and those who have traveled, they know what I'm speaking about. We support the white people who, with our school fees, with our housing money. We need to have a better education in Africa that we cannot run, and we will not run to white men home anymore. We feel discriminated every day. We feel hurt. I think we need to stand up for our next generation to come by having a good mindset, by having a good mentality, by taking away individualism over society. I thank you.
Okay, that was a brilliant opinion from Princess Chea. Thank you very much, Ambassador Princess Chea, for your opinions on Black discrimination. So now we will turn the platform to Reverend Chea to conclude this platform as we about to leave. Reverend, you have to put your microphone. You have to put your microphone on.
Then I have a
Hello.
parting statement.
Yes, Reverend, go ahead. Ambassador Harris,
Yeah, I must first apologize. I've been experiencing some technical problem from my end. I think you see me going on and off. But the first thing I wish to know, and the panel has done well, have said that the specific case has been black against black. Now, when I heard about black discrimination, I had thought of discrimination against the black race by other races. But we have been drawing lessons, especially since most of the panelists, if not all, are Liberians. We are taking only our own domestic problems cannot categorize it as black discrimination. So I would think that if I would recommend, that we have a broader global panelist who will discuss the issues from a global perspective than Liberian society, except for few instances, but most of the instances we have been talking have been blacks against blacks, Liberians against Liberians, and those type of things. If we want to discuss those specific topics, then of course the panelists can narrow it down to that point. But when I hear about black discrimination, I was thinking about global discrimination against black by other races. and we should stick to that. Yes, the panelists have done well, but to direct this discourse to black discrimination, except we define it as discrimination of blacks against blacks. But my thought have been that how can we minimize or mitigate discrimination against blacks by other races, like the Caucasians, the Asians. Other than that, I heard about Liberian domestic political idiocracy and all of that. Having said that, let the panelists have noted, even when laws are made, they are made within the continuum of culture. They are made within the continuum of society. Thereby, they are driven by individuals. All the examples that have been given, even in institutionalized systems, you have people doing that. Somebody said there is no system in Liberia. There is. But when we say there is no system in Liberia, what people mean is that people are not well cultured, people are not principle minded, and to divorce their personal interests and from institutional well-being. So they honor my institution, and then we say no system. System is there, but people do not follow. There are laws in the book, even specifically with the Liberian environment. There are laws, but the enforcement, and the enforcement is weak because of the culture, because of the thinking of the people who are to implement. So to have strong system, to have laws, the people who must implement those laws, because laws do not enforce themselves. They always have people to enforce. Even a great United States where we say, oh, discrimination, they have institutions. Those instances of discrimination, they are perpetuated by individuals. Even the George Floyd case, it was perpetuated by a racist police. Even when they went to court and there were no outcome, and the laws are on the books, but the implementers and the judges or the jurors, they are all racist. So that is the point. Like I have traveled to the states, can the United States several times, and I enjoy institutional privilege. I go to a train station, and they treat me as a senior citizen, even though I am not an American. A black man at Boston substation, they have a white man toting my baggages behind me, because and the system calls for that if an old man comes who is 65, you must give me that honor. They didn't care whether I was black or not. But had a train officer at that moment been a racist, I would not have gotten that treatment. And I had my shack at Dallas bus station. And my first time in the States, when I reached Dallas on my way to Houston, I thought I had reached Dallas. So I got down. When I got down, only to realize that this was not Houston. Somebody showed me the officer said, oh, go and tell that man your situation. Yeah, I came from the back of the man to just knock him, to beckon him like we do in our African culture. The man turned around. I was shocked. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I was shy. I said, human being. And just to call your attention, say what you want to say. Do not touch me. He was saying that because a black man was saying that. But in the same United States, at Boston train station, I had a privileged treatment. Yet in the same United States, at Dallas station, I was shocked from discrimination. See, so it all boils down to human beings. I gave her 2 cases to prove the point of human beings, that even when systems are there, at Boston station, there was a system for treating passengers. Because of the individual that I met, he was not racist. He gave me fair treatment. But at Dallas station, even though the same institutional policies were in place, yet the man gave me a shock. So on that basis, all of the problems of discrimination boil down to the issue of human nature, being selfish, self-seeking, of their own interest. So what are the loopholes and non-compliance to laws that are against discrimination? They are due to people who have no principles, or may I say whose principles are based on their own self-interest. And as long as we have such, we will continue to have discrimination against black people. And with that, and the result will be mass violence. And of course, that will be a ripple effect, because you have black violence, then you will have reaction from West, and vice versa, like we have in the United States now. Even though there are laws here and there, but there are some people call themselves white supremacists, and they are bent, despite whatever laws there may be, they are bent on discriminating against blacks. I don't care how you have law, you cannot have police in every sector. You cannot have police in every corner. So except the human beings themselves, they are brought to the place, and they themselves make up their mind that look, they're saying that all men are on, and by extension, any groups against any group, parties against parties, like we have in our own society in Liberia. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend. Thank you for coming on the stage to share with us your experience, your own way of seeing black being discriminated. So we appreciate you. We hope to see you again on this platform, wherein we'll be discussing another global issues. So to all of our participants, our speakers, our guest speakers, the university will be offering a certificate for all of the participants. So we will speak to you so that you can give us your official name that will be written on the certificate. So I thank you very much. We hope to host you guys again. And God bless you guys. God bless Liberia. God bless Africa. And God bless the world. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's been
Thank
a
you.
pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much to you and your team. We'd like to say thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Harris, let's hear from you.
Let me say once again, thank you to the organizer. I really appreciate and hope that as soon as possible that we can meet again on different topic to see how that we can extend our idea or exchange our ideas. Because there is a moment in our life where no one will decide for you, but you decide for yourself. And Martin Luther said, change doesn't rule in the will and credibility, but it comes through persistent and consistent struggle. The issue about black discrimination across the continent, I think it is about us as young people. I think it is our generation need to consistently talk about it to see how we can change the narrative about black discrimination and come up with one voice and a very strong statement that will call the attention of the United Nations, statement that will call the attention of the world. That I think the black from Africa or the black are ready to mitigate or to stay against black discrimination. I think we can do it, provided if we stay as one, provided if we have one umbrella and coming together with one voice. I think we can make that happen in our generation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Like you hear from Beatrice. Miss Beatrice Senda.
Well, yeah, thank you very much to you and your team, to the lovely professional University of Indiana. Thank you so much for hosting us, for allowing us to be
Okay, NS, let's hear from you. Mr. Dote.
I want to say thanks to every one of you. Thanks to the panelists and our host. I'm grateful to God for the opportunity afforded us to share our own experience. It was also a point where we come and we learn some new ideas on how we can do away with the issue of black discrimination. And to conclude with, I think it will be prudent that we take all the code of discrimination from our eyes as African, and we can look outside to see how we can fight discrimination. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. And I hope to see you guys again on this platform so that we can share new ideas about how we will move Africa to the next level, about our generation, how we can succeed to bring about wisdoms or to add wisdoms to our generation. God bless you guys. Hope to see you guys again. And we love you all. God bless you. Thank you.